Ladies and gentlemen, today we dive into a story that shook American politics for years. A story filled with accusations, investigations, denials, and endless debates. It's the story of Russiagate, the allegation that Russia interfered in the 2016 U.S. presidential election to help Donald Trump win against Hillary Clinton. For years, this was the #1 topic in Washington and in the media, every news channel, every political talk show, every late-night comedy monologue. All were filled with claims that Russia had a secret connection with Donald Trump's campaign. But here's the real question. Was this true? Did Russia really help Trump win? Or was this a political narrative carefully crafted and repeated until people believed it? This video, the one we're about to break down together, captures a heated exchange between two people, one raising serious questions about the truth of the Russia story, and the other defending the official narrative that was pushed for years. And here's what makes this video fascinating. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's not just about Russia. It's about how intelligence is used, how media builds a story, and how ordinary Americans are influenced by narratives they hear every day. Now, before we get into the actual debate, where one person questions and the other answers, let's set the stage for you. Because if you don't know the background, the conversation won't make much sense. So, let's rewind the clock. Back to 2016. Background on Trump, 2016 election, and Russiagate. Narrator Tone.com. Storytelling, guiding the audience into the history before the debate. In the video, let's take a step back in time. To really understand what is happening in this video, we need to revisit one of the most controversial and debated moments in modern American politics, the 2016 U.S. presidential election. In 2016, Donald Trump, a businessman and reality TV star who had never held political office, shocked the world by winning the presidency. He defeated Hillary Clinton, a seasoned politician, former senator, and former Secretary of State, who many believed was destined to become the first woman president of the United States. Trump's victory wasn't just surprising. It was earth-shaking. Pollsters, media, analysts, and even many members of his own party did not see it coming. But soon after his win, questions began to rise. How did this happen? Was there outside interference? This is where Russiagate began. The Russia connection, U.S. intelligence agencies and journalists started investigating possible interference by Russia. The story was that Russian hackers, trolls, and propaganda networks may have tried to influence American voters, particularly through social media, misinformation campaigns, and even leaks of private emails belonging to Democratic leaders. By early 2017, intelligence agencies, the CIA, FBI, and NSA all released assessments suggesting that Russia did try to meddle in the election. But here's the key. They were split on why Russia interfered. Some believed that Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, wanted to help Trump win. Others believed Russia simply wanted to create chaos, weaken trust in democracy, and make Americans fight each other. This is where things got very confusing and very political. The role of the media as the reports came out, mainstream media outlets like CNN, MSNBC, and The Washington Post leaned heavily on the idea that Russia interfered specifically to help Donald Trump. This narrative became the heart of what many called the Russiagate scandal, but critics, including Trump himself, argued that this was fake news, pushed by the media and Trump's political enemies to delegitimize his presidency. Trump repeatedly said, "There was no collusion. Russia didn't help me win. I won because I worked hard and connected with the people." Still, for years, headlines, debates, and late-night comedy shows hammered on the idea that Trump was somehow Putin's puppet. What the intelligence reports said and didn't say. Now that we understand the background of the 2016 election and the rise of the Russiagate scandal, let's zoom in on the intelligence reports, because this is where so much of the confusion, debate, and political drama begins. What are intelligence reports? First, let's explain this in simple words. In the United States, agencies like the CIA Central Intelligence Agency, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the NSA National Security Agency gather information about threats to the country. When something major happens, like a foreign government trying to interfere in U.S. elections, these agencies prepare assessments. But here's the catch. An assessment is not the same as hard proof. It's a mix of intelligence, analysis, and judgment calls. That means sometimes even experts disagree on what it all really means. And that's exactly what happened after the 2016 election. The January 2017. Reporting January 2017, just days before Donald Trump officially became President, the intelligence community released a document called the Intelligence Community Assessment. The report made headlines worldwide. It claimed that Russia had indeed interfered in the election through hacking, leaks, and an online propaganda campaign. But when people looked closer, the details weren't so clear. Here's what the report actually said. Russia wanted to undermine public faith in U.S. democracy. Russia disliked Hillary Clinton. Putin reportedly held a personal grudge against her for criticizing him when she was Secretary of State. Russia developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. Sounds straightforward, right? But here's where it gets tricky. The split in confidence. The intelligence agencies did not all agree with the same level of confidence. The CIA and FBI were confident that Putin wanted Trump to win. But the NSA, which specializes in digital surveillance, was less certain. In plain English, that means some top experts believed Putin favored Trump, but others weren't fully convinced. This is a big deal, because when people later said, the intelligence community proved Russia wanted Trump, that wasn't 100% accurate. The truth is more complicated. How the media reported it now. Here's where the fire really spread. Most major news outlets reported the story as if there was no doubt at all. Putin wanted Trump to win. Television anchors, journalists, and opinion writers repeated this line over and over. It became the headline. But very few explained the fine print, that not all agencies agreed, and that assessments are not the same as hard evidence. This is exactly the point being debated in the video. One side argues, the report proves Putin wanted Trump. The other side fires back, no, you're twisting it. The report is not clear on that. It's political spin. Why this matters to you now? You might be thinking, okay, but why should I care? This was years ago. Here's why. This debate shows how complex information can be simplified or twisted when it reaches the public. It also shows how narratives can shape politics for years. And most importantly, it teaches us to always ask, what does the report actually say? And what are people claiming it says? How the media shaped the narrative. Now that we've broken down what the intelligence reports actually said, and what they didn't say, it's time to talk about the media. Because here's the truth. Even if a report is full of uncertainties, by the time it reaches television screens, newspaper headlines, and social media feeds, it often looks like black and white truth. And that's exactly what happened with the Russiagate story. From assessment to headline, the January 2017 intelligence report was full of nuance. It used careful words like, likely with high confidence, with moderate confidence, but the next morning, the headlines weren't cautious at all. They screamed, Putin ordered interference to help Trump. Russia backed Trump over Clinton. The fine print that not all agencies agreed vanished. In the fast-moving world of breaking news, subtlety gets lost, and the public starts to believe that the intelligence community spoke with one voice of absolute certainty, even though that wasn't the case. The cable news effect. Turn on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News during 2017 to 2019, and you'd see an endless cycle of Russiagate discussions. On CNN and MSNBC, the tone was urgent, sometimes almost apocalyptic. Hosts suggested Trump might be a puppet of Putin. Pundits speculated that the White House was compromised. Russia was painted as the mastermind pulling America's strings. Meanwhile, on Fox News, the reaction was the opposite. Hosts claimed the entire scandal was a witch hunt. Commentators argued the media was weaponizing the report to destroy Trump. Russia's role was downplayed, while the deep state became the villain. So viewers, depending on which channel they watched, lived in two different realities. In the video, the clash. This brings us back to the video you're watching. The debate in the clip is a reflection of that same media split. On one side, the questioner is pushing the narrative that the intelligence report proved Putin wanted Trump. On the other side, the respondent argues, no, you're misrepresenting it. The report never said that outright. The media twisted the message. The clash you hear in the video is not just to people disagreeing, it's to entire media ecosystems colliding. Why this is important? This section is critical for you as a viewer, because it highlights how stories are simplified for headlines. Even if that changes the meaning, how media bias shapes perception. Different outlets emphasize different truths. How debates like the one in this video reflect larger national divides. In other words, the argument in the video is really about trust. Can we trust the media? Can we trust intelligence reports? Or do we need to dig deeper ourselves? Lessons for today. Evan, though this debate happened years ago, it's still relevant now. Why? Because the same pattern repeats every election cycle. Reports come out, politicians spin them. Media amplifies the spin, and ordinary citizens are left arguing about headlines, not the full story. If you, as a viewer, learn to pause and ask, wait, what does the original report actually say? Then you won't be misled as easily. That's the benefit of watching and understanding videos like this one. With this, we've unpacked how the media turned a cautious intelligence report into a political firestorm. Inside the video, the debate. The video you're watching isn't just random chatter, it's a sharp, heated exchange that reflects one of the biggest political controversies of our time. So let's slow things down and step right into the conversation. The setup. The scene opens with a questioner, sharp, direct, almost confrontational. They bring up the intelligence report, stating confidently, Putin wanted Trump to win. That's what the report said. It's the kind of statement you'd hear repeated on TV or read in headlines. Strong, bold, but not necessarily the whole story. The response. The respondent pushes back immediately. They're calm at first, but you can hear the frustration underneath. That's not true. If you had actually read the report, you'd know it doesn't say that. The media twisted it. Right away, the debate isn't just about the report anymore, it's about truth versus perception. The clash heats up. The questioner doubles down. So you're saying the intelligence community didn't conclude Putin preferred Trump? The respondent fires back. What I'm saying is, the report wasn't unanimous. Some agencies disagreed. But the media cut out that part. You're repeating a headline, not the actual findings. Here's the key moment. One side is anchored in what they think the report proved. The other side is anchored in what the report actually wrote in detail. This tension creates the fire in the exchange. What's really happening? As you listen, you realize this isn't just a personal argument, it's a microcosm of the entire Russiagate controversy. People on one side truly believe Putin was pulling strings for Trump. People on the other side believe that idea was inflated by media spin. And here's the genius of the video. By watching this clash, you're not just hearing two people argue. You're witnessing the national divide play out in real time. Why this matters for you as a viewer? You might ask, okay, but why should I care about their shouting match? Here's why. It trains your ear. You learn to spot when someone is quoting headlines versus original sources. It sharpens your critical thinking. You begin asking, what evidence are they actually using? It shows you the gap between media narratives and official documents. This is powerful, because once you learn to hear that difference in one debate, you can apply it to any political story you encounter in the future. Breaking down the key arguments. Now that we've seen the back and forth in the video, let's slow down and analyze each side of the debate clearly. This way, whether you're a viewer or just listening to the voiceover, you'll fully understand who is questioning, who is answering, what each side is claiming, and why this is so important for you. Argument 1. The questioners claim. The questioner in the video makes a bold and confident claim. Putin wanted Trump to win. The intelligence report made that clear. This is a very direct statement. No hesitation. No room for doubt. The way it's said makes it sound like the report was crystal clear. Black and white, no debate. But here's the problem. When you look closer, the report itself wasn't that clear-cut. Argument 2. The respondents push back. The respondent quickly challenges that claim. That's not true. If you actually read the report, you'd know it wasn't unanimous. The agencies didn't all agree on Trump. Some thought Putin wanted chaos, not a Trump win. Notice the difference in tone here. The questioner sounds confident but vague, quoting a headline. The respondent sounds frustrated but specific, pointing out that the intelligence community itself was divided. This is important, because sometimes, the person who sounds most confident isn't the one with the strongest evidence. Breaking down the truth. So, what's the reality? Yes, U.S. intelligence agencies agreed Russia tried to interfere in the 2016 election, but they did not fully agree on whether Putin's goal was specifically to elect Trump. Asterisk, public reaction and political divide. After watching the video and understanding the arguments, the next question is, how did the public react to all this? And why did it cause such a big divide in America? The bigger context. The debate in the video about whether Putin wanted Trump to win wasn't just happening between two people, it was happening everywhere, on news channels, in Congress, on social media, and even at dinner tables in ordinary American homes. This is because the question wasn't just about Russia, it was about trust. Can we trust our elections? Can we trust our intelligence agencies? Can we trust the media? The questioner's side, reflecting the mainstream. The questioner in the video reflects what many Americans were hearing on CNN, MSNBC, and other mainstream outlets. Their message was simple and repeated everywhere. Russia interfered to help Trump. Trump's win was not fully legitimate. For many people who disliked Trump, this was comforting. It gave them a reason to believe he didn't truly deserve the presidency. The respondent's side, reflecting the skeptics. The respondent, on the other hand, reflects another large group of Americans. Their message was, yes, Russia interfered. But the idea that they swung the whole election, or that Trump only won because of Putin, is exaggerated by the media. This group believed the media was overhyping the story to attack Trump. To them, the Russiagate narrative felt like a political weapon rather than pure truth. Why the divide happened? This is where things got messy. Because the questioner's position sounded simple, strong, and headline-friendly, while the respondent's position was more complicated, requiring nuance. And let's be honest, most people don't have the time or patience for nuance. They want clear heroes and villains. That's why the public ended up splitting into two sides. Trump only won because of Russia. Russia interfered, but it didn't decide the election. The media just made it bigger than it was. The emotional side for Trump supporters. The Russiagate story felt like an attack on their vote. Imagine casting a ballot, your side wins, and then for years you're told it doesn't count because of foreign interference. That's deeply personal. For Trump critics, the Russiagate story was a way to explain how someone they disliked so much could possibly have won. It was less about Putin, and more about trying to make sense of 2016. Why this matters for you, a viewer or listener. Here's the lesson. Always pay attention to why a story divides people emotionally. Not just factually. The facts were, Russia interfered. Agencies disagreed on Trump's benefit. The emotions were, anger, fear, denial, frustration, understanding. Both the facts and the emotions is key to understanding politics. Takeaway for the audience, this section of the story shows us something powerful. The Russiagate debate wasn't only about Trump or Putin, it was about how Americans see themselves, their democracy, and each other. That's why this video and debates like the one inside it are so valuable. They don't just explain politics, they reveal the psychology of division. Lessons for viewers. Why it still matters today now that we've seen the debate play out between the questioner and the respondent, and we've understood how the public reacted. The real question becomes, why does this still matter for us today? Because remember, the video is not just a back-and-forth argument, it's a window into how information, politics, and emotions shape our daily lives. Recap of the videos. Debate. In the video, the questioner insists Putin wanted Trump to win. The intelligence report is clear. The respondent pushes back. That's not the full picture. The report is nuanced, and the media is cutting parts out. This isn't just about Trump or Russia, it's about how we process information when it comes from authority figures like the media, intelligence agencies, or politicians. Lesson 1. Always look beyond headlines. The first lesson viewers can take away is simple. Don't stop at headlines. Headlines are designed to catch your attention, but they often leave out the nuance, the maybes, the partially true, or the on one hand, on the other hand. In this case, the headline most people saw was, Russia wanted Trump to win. But if you read deeper into the reports, there were multiple layers, doubts, and disagreements. So the lesson is, if you want the truth, go beyond the surface. Lesson 2. Question the narratives. The second lesson. Ask yourself, who benefits from me believing this? When the questioner argued strongly that Putin wanted Trump, that fit the narrative many mainstream outlets were pushing. When the respondent argued back, he represented another narrative, one that accused the media of overhyping the story. Neither side was speaking in a vacuum, both were part of larger political teams, trying to win your trust. So for viewers and listeners, always ask, whose interest does this story serve? Lesson 3. Learn the power of nuance. One of the most powerful lessons from this debate is that truth is rarely black and white. The intelligence report itself wasn't as clear-cut as many people think. Some agencies leaned toward saying, Russia preferred Trump. Others weren't fully convinced. But in politics and media, nuance often gets erased. Why? Because it's harder to sell. So the takeaway is, real truth often lives in the gray area. Learn to sit with that discomfort. Lesson 4. Recognize emotional manipulation. Another lesson is about emotion. The questioner represents frustration, almost saying, how can you not see this? It's obvious. The respondent represents skepticism, saying, "You're being misled." Both sides pull at your emotions. Fear of foreign interference. Anger at media manipulation. Frustration at political enemies. For viewers, the lesson is, when you feel strong emotions about a news story, pause and ask, am I reacting to facts, or to how the story is being framed? Lesson 5. Apply this to everyday life. Finally, and most importantly, these lessons don't only apply to Trump or Russia, they apply to your daily decision-making. Think about it. When you scroll through social media, when you read news about your country's politics, even when you hear gossip at work or in your neighborhood, the same rules apply. Don't stop at the headline. Ask who benefits. Look for nuance. Watch your emotions. These skills will make you smarter, calmer, and less easily manipulated in every part of life. Why this is beneficial for you by learning from this debate. You're not just understanding history. You're gaining tools that help you in the present and future. Whether it's about elections, business news, or even social issues, the ability to question, analyze, and think for yourself is priceless. Extended commentary, comparing with other political debate we saw in the video where the questioner strongly pushes the point that Russia wanted Trump to win, and the respondent challenges that narrative may feel unique. But here's the truth. Politics is full of scandals that look very similar. And when we compare Russiagate with other historical scandals, we see repeating patterns. Patterns that reveal how media, politicians, and intelligence agencies can shape public opinion, sometimes with facts, sometimes with half-truths, and sometimes with pure speculation. Scandal 1. Watergate 1970s. Let's rewind to the 1970s. What happened? President Richard Nixon's team was caught spying on the Democratic National Committee, headquarters at the Watergate building. The scandal exploded when journalists from the Washington Post exposed how high the corruption went. How does this compare? Just like Russiagate, Watergate wasn't clear at first. At the beginning, many dismissed it as a minor story. But over time, evidence built up and public trust collapsed. Lesson for viewers. Scandals often start with confusion and doubt. Over time, they either collapse or grow into something undeniable. That's why questioning, like the respondent in the video, is so important. Scandal 2. The Iraq War and Weapons of Mass Destruction 2003. Now jump to the early 2000s. What happened? The US government told the world that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, the intelligence agencies confirmed it. The media repeated it. The public believed it, but later, it turned out the WMDs didn't exist. How does this compare? Just like in Russiagate, intelligence reports were presented as absolute truth. The headlines were clear and loud. Iraq has WMDs, but the nuance, the doubts, the disagreements were buried. In the video, when the questioner insists that Putin wanted Trump, he mirrors that same absolute truth framing. And when the respondent pushes back, he represents the skeptical voices that were ignored during the Iraq debate. Lesson for viewers. Don't let certainty blind you. Even when all the experts agree, ask for evidence. Scandal 3. The Clinton-Lewinsky affair, 1990s. Next. The 1990s Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal. What happened? A private affair became a national political storm. Clinton denied it publicly. I did not have relations with that woman. Later, evidence proved otherwise. How does this compare? This scandal shows how political enemies use personal mistakes to weaken opponents. Similarly, in Russiagate, Trump's enemies used the idea of Russian interference as a weapon against him. Whether true or exaggerated, the purpose was the same: political damage. Lesson for viewers. Scandals aren't just about truth. They're also about how stories are used strategically to gain or lose power. What all these scandals have in common when you look at Watergate, Iraq, WMDs, the Clinton scandal, and Russiagate side by side, you notice patterns. Information war. Who controls the narrative? Public emotion, fear, anger, or betrayal drive the story. Truth versus politics. The real story often gets buried under political agendas. This is exactly what we see in the video. The questioner represents the voice of certainty, fueled by fear and anger. The respondent represents the skeptical voice, demanding nuance and deeper questioning. And both sides are locked in a battle, not just over facts, but over control of the narrative. Why this comparison is beneficial for us? Why are these comparisons valuable for viewers like you? Because they teach us something powerful. scandals change, but the playbook stays the same. Whether it's Nixon, Clinton, Bush, or Trump, the methods repeat. Intelligence reports are used selectively. Headlines are exaggerated. Emotions are stirred. Political enemies seize the opportunity. For the audience, this means you can spot patterns early in future events. Instead of being swept up in the drama, you'll recognize the familiar moves being played. That skill, the ability to recognize repeating patterns, makes you smarter, calmer, and harder to manipulate. At the end of this video, the Russiagate debate was never just about Trump, Putin, or a single election. It was about the strength of democracy itself, from intelligence reports to media battles, from heated political debates to global reactions. We've seen how easily trust can be shaken and how quickly division can spread. Yet, the bigger picture reminds us that democracy survives not because it is flawless, but because it has the ability to question, correct, and grow stronger through its challenges. And that is why this story still matters, not just as a chapter in history, but as a lesson for every citizen to think critically, stay informed, and take responsibility in protecting the truth.